Welcome back, my dear children. Welcome to English class. Today we will see prose, the most awaited one. Till now we have seen the writing skills, but today we will start with our prose, right? So this is prose number 2, children, Lost Spring, right? Written by Anis Jung. So this prose, this lesson is really close to my heart. You know why? Because this is about small children like you, and whose life is entirely different from our life. Now let's see what kind of life they are living, what kind of problems they are facing, right? But before going into the lesson, let me ask you a few questions. You might be happy that you need not answer, but at least you can answer to yourself, right? Okay, so yes, children, so if you ask a person like which time of life he wants to live again, so the obvious answer would be his own childhood, right? Who doesn't like his or her childhood? Everybody, we all love our childhood, right? Because that was the time, those were the days where the life was completely carefree, completely relaxing, enjoyable, right? And that was a time when we were supposed to do everything. We were very naughty. So but now we cannot travel back to that childhood. But there are some people who never want to live their childhood again. Okay, so this lesson is all about that. Let's see. But before going into let me brief you about the author Anis Jung. Anis Jung, she was born in 1944 in Rourkela, which is in Odisha, and now she is approximately around 75 years old, and she is an Indian writer. She is a journalist and a columnist. Columnist means the person who writes columns in a newspaper, right? And she was born in a family of poets. So her father, her brother, her mother, everybody, her uncles, everybody was poets, right? And she went to the US for higher studies, and there she got graduation from the University of Michigan. And she is also the author of the famous book named Unveiling India. And now she lives in New Delhi, right? Yes, children, so this prose is divided into 2 parts. The name of the first part is Sometimes I Find a Rupee in the Garbage, and the second part is I Want to Drive a Car. So in today's class, we will see only the first part, Sometimes I Find a Rupee in the Garbage. Alright, so when you see the topic, when you see the name of this part, what do you feel, children? Why somebody has to find a rupee in the garbage? Why somebody has to put his hand in the garbage? Who puts his or her hand in the garbage? Of course, the rag pickers. The rag pickers, in common vernacular language, if I say it, in Tamil we say kutta porukkaravanga, right? So the story of the first person in the first part is about a small boy who is a rag picker. Okay, and when I say rag picker, you can visualize his lifestyle, what kind of clothes he might be wearing, what kind of lifestyle he might be living, all those things, what kind of house he might be living in. Okay, so what kind of language he might be speaking. So everything comes in our mind, right, when I say the word rag picker. So the first story is about a small boy whose name is Saheb. Okay, now we'll go into the lesson. Now in this lesson, the main character is Saheb. You can see the name here, the first point, and he is a rag picker. What is the meaning of rag picker? The person who picks from the garbage. Okay, so in the right side you can see the picture of some small children who are picking the garbage. Okay, who are picking some things which are useful, okay, from the garbage. And don't think that this is just a time pass or a hobby or something like that. This is the main job that they are doing. Okay, they are earning their living from this work. Alright, children, so they are rag pickers, and this narrator, the author of the story, is the narrator. Alright, and Anis Jung, she is telling the story to us, and she used to meet Saheb every morning near her neighborhood, because he always used to come there to pick from the garbage with a big plastic bag, along with his other rag picker friends who live together in a slum called which is in Seemapuri. Okay, they live in Seemapuri, which is a slum area in the periphery of New Delhi. What's the meaning of periphery? It is in the outskirts of New Delhi. Outskirts means in the borders of New Delhi, not in the main city, but in the borders of New Delhi. Alright, but still it was very far from New Delhi. Why? Because New Delhi was very sophisticated and full of richness, but this Seemapuri was entirely different from this metropolitan city. Alright, so though it was in the periphery, but still it was very far from the lifestyle of New Delhi. Alright, so this Saheb, the small boy who was a rag picker, he lived in Seemapuri, which is a slum in the periphery of New Delhi. There he lived with his parents and so many other people. Nearly 10,000 rag pickers were living there. Okay, and these people, especially this Saheb, he became a good acquaintance of the narrator Anis Jung. Okay, because every morning she used to see him near her neighborhood. And why did he go there? To pick from the garbage. Alright, so sometimes she used to talk to Saheb, and one day when she spoke to him, she came to know that these people, these rag pickers, they are the migrants of Dhaka. Okay, they came from Dhaka. Dhaka is in Bangladesh, which is not in India, and they came from there. Actually, when they lived there, they lived in a beautiful green fields. They had their own houses and everything, but because of some crisis, they had to leave all their property, and they had to roam here and there in search of earning, in search of food, right? So likewise, they came to this Seemapuri, and actually it was a wilderness. It was full of no house was there, so they started living there in small tents, and they came in 1971. So since 1971 they have been living in the place called Seemapuri. Okay, but are they Indian in origin? No, they are not Indians. They are the migrants from Dhaka, which is in Bangladesh. Okay, so she came to know all these things from Saheb, and he was picking from the garbage along with his other friends. All right, so she saw all his friends, and they were all barefoot. What do you mean? What do you mean by barefoot? Without any slippers or shoes. Okay, without chappals. Okay? So so she asked them why they didn't wear any chappals. So they answered that their parents never bought them, right? So this was quite unusual for the narrator because she had never met these kind of people in her life before. So jokingly, one more boy, he said, okay, as if your parents buy you one, will you wear that? No, he said no. Why? Because wearing chappal is not in their tradition. All right. So see, children, if you imagine a beggar in your mind, what kind of image comes in your mind? Like torn clothes, okay, worn out clothes, uncombed hair, unoiled hair, right? So that kind of image comes in our mind. So they are not. So have you seen in the movie Pichekaran? In that movie, in the morning time when it is the work time, the so-called work time for beggars. They sit in the streets and in front of temples with torn clothes and they beg. And in the night when they come back to their places, they open their suitcases and they wear the good clothes and they come out, right? So that is the fashion, that is the tradition which they have to follow. So likewise here, the rag pickers, the small children, they were not supposed to wear any footwear. Okay, they were supposed to be barefoot only. Okay, it was not in their tradition. So even if they even if they are, they have the chappals or footwear to wear, they will not prefer to wear it, right? And so these children, they never went to school also. They don't go to school, and because they cannot afford going to school, because schools are very costly, and they needed money for their living. Okay, and what was the main profession which they were doing? Rag picking. All right. So this work was they were doing, and they were not supposed to go to schools. So the parents also, they never sent their children to schools. All right. Yes, children. So when this Anis Jung, the narrator of the story, when she asked Saheb, all right, Saheb, if I open a school, will you come to my school? And he said, oh yes, I will definitely come to your school. But she said this, half jokingly. She was not quite serious about opening the school and all, but still simply she asked. And after that day, whenever the small boy Saheb, he met Anis Jung, he used to ask, okay, when are you going to open your school? And I want to come to your school. And she started feeling very guilty. She started feeling very bad, because she really didn't mean to open the school. She just said to Saheb that if she opens, would he like to come? But she was not serious at all. Okay, so she started feeling very bad because she gave a promise which she was never going to fulfill. Right? Yes, and one day this lady, Anis Jung, she went to Seemapuri, and she found the place quite dirty, very stinky lanes, and nearly 10,000 rag pickers were residing in that congested place, where where if you go in that streets, you can find the humans and the animals coexisting. That means the animals and the human beings, everybody, they are living together. Right, so just imagine how dirty the place would be, right? And houses, they were just not even a mud house. The houses were so underdeveloped. The roofs were of tin and tarpaulin, and no sewage was there. Sewage means no drainage facility, and no identity. Can you imagine a person doesn't have an identity? But here the people of Seemapuri, they didn't have even their identities. Nobody knew them. Okay, they only had one ration card, and with the help of that card, they used to buy the grains and all those things, something to eat. So that was enough for them. And some women were standing in that place, and when this Anis Jung, she asked, why did you leave Dhaka, such a beautiful place, and you came here leaving all your green fields and all? So one of the ladies, one of the women who was wearing torn sari, she answered her that food is more important than identity. Okay, food was very important. So in Dhaka, they lost everything. They didn't have even food to eat. So they started roaming in search of food. They started wandering for a new job, at least they can make their life better, okay, their lifestyle better. So they started wandering here and there, and finally they reached Seemapuri. So they don't have any identity, but these women, these people, they are not worried about the identity. They are worried about the food. Okay, it was enough if they went to bed with food in their stomachs. Okay, so that was enough, more than enough. And the only work which they knew was rag picking. So rag picking was the only source of money for these kind of. And one day, what happened? Anis Jung, she saw Saheb. Saheb was standing outside one tennis club. You know, so many clubs are there. No, so inside. So in this picture, the second picture, you can see. So it is fully covered, so surrounded with net. Okay, the fencing is done. And Saheb, he is standing outside the fence. You can see in that first picture. So a small boy is standing. So just imagine that he is Saheb, okay, and this Saheb was standing outside the club, outside the court, outside the fence, okay, and he was watching two men. They were in their whites. They were wearing white clothes, and they were playing tennis. All right, and this Saheb, with his glittering eyes, he saw these men playing tennis, and he said that he liked the game so much. He liked to play. He loved to play tennis. All right, but do you think Saheb would be ever able to play tennis in his life? Well, I don't think so. And let me tell you, this boy was wearing a torn shoes, also pair of shoes, which had a hole in one of the shoes, and that shoes might be thrown by somebody, some rich boy, and he found that pair of shoes in the garbage, okay, and he wore it, and the hole in the shoes never bothered him, okay. It was like a new pair of shoes for him. So very happily he wore the shoes, and he was standing outside the fence. He was watching the two men playing tennis, and he liked the game so much. All right, and he told Anis Jung, he told the narrator, that sometimes when nobody was there around, when nobody was there inside the court, the watchman, sometimes he allowed the small boy Saheb to enter inside the club and to play in the swing and all that. Right. So this was one of the incidents of Saheb. Let me tell you, Saheb's full name is Saheb-e-Alam. Okay, the meaning of Saheb-e-Alam is the Lord of the Universe. Okay, so just imagine, Saheb was, the full name of Saheb was Lord of Universe. And just imagine that if he knew the real meaning of his name, he would take a long time to believe it, okay, because his lifestyle, his living condition was completely different from the Lord of the Universe. All right, but still his name was Saheb-e-Alam. Okay, so this is irony in this lesson, children. His name was the Lord of the Universe, but he was living like a beggar. Okay, he was living in a very poor condition. He was a rag picker. All right. One fine morning, this Anis Jung, she saw Saheb. He was actually going to a milk booth, and he was having a canister in his hand. Canister, so in the picture you can see a small boy. He is having one small can. So that can is called canister, children. He was carrying the canister, and he was walking towards the milk booth to buy some milk, because he started working in a tea stall. And when Anis Jung asked him about his new job, he said that he got 800 rupees per month, not for one day, children, for 1 month he earned 800 rupees from that job. And the owner, he provided one-time meals also. Okay, so he started doing this job. He left picking from the garbage. He left that work, and he started a new job. What job he started doing? He started doing job in a tea stall. Okay, and what salary he got there? Just 800 rupees for 1 month, and plus one-time meals was also provided. All right. Now Anis Jung, when she saw this little boy, she was not at all looking carefree. Okay, he was not relaxed. Okay, he was not happy. He was not looking happy. All right, and he looked very responsible. Okay, and when she saw him with a canister, and she compared his life when he used to carry big plastic bags on his back, full of garbage in that. usually it used to be very heavy, but here the canister was looking heavier than the plastic bags which he used to carry. Okay, that means what? Now Saheb was not his own master. He was a slave to somebody else. At least the plastic bag which he used to carry was his own, and the canister is somebody else's. Alright, so Saheb is no longer his own master. He was a slave to somebody else. Okay, he became so responsible. He had to do the work which somebody told him. But when he was a rag picker, he was so free to go anywhere. Okay, very free to play with his friends whenever he wanted to, and every time he looked looked inside the garbage. It was something like a treasure hunt for him. Okay, the definition of rag picking for adults, it is different, children. For adults, it was a means of earning. Okay, a source of getting money from some source. Okay, but for children like Saheb, it was like a treasure hunt. Okay, so every time they got something new whenever they put their hand in the garbage, right? So that life was entirely different. But now, since he is working in a tea stall, he was not allowed to do whatever he wanted, right? So because he was a slave there, right? He was a worker. He was not the owner, right? So just imagine, children, how difficult the life would become, okay, if you are pushed to these kind of circumstances. So how lucky we are, how fortunate we are that we are born in such kind of families who can afford our living, who can afford good education for us. We are so lucky that we are going to school at least. Okay. Saheb was entirely different. He was not going to school because his parents couldn't afford it, right? So he was not allowed to go to school. But in our case, we are allowed to go to school. We are sent to school, and so that we could become something in our life. But remember, children, please don't take everything for granted. Whatever you have, you should be very thankful to God, thankful to your parents that they are giving you such a good life. All right. So let me tell you the theme of this lesson. The main theme of the lesson is poverty, of course. Next is child labor, and the third one is negligence of government officials and common people towards these kinds of people. Common people means you and me. Okay, we are also one of the reasons for the living conditions of these poor people. All right, and the negligence of the government officials also. Right. So this is the theme, children. Now let me put light to the character sketch of Saheb. Now this Saheb is a rag picker who lives in Seemapuri and who migrated from Dhaka in 1971. Where is Dhaka? It is in Bangladesh. And every morning he roamed in the streets to collect the garbage. Alright. So here it is garbage, but Anish Jung, she says that every time he used to scrounge for gold in the garbage. Scrounge means searching for, okay, looking for, தேடுறது. So அந்த குப்பையில வந்து என்ன தேடுவாங்க அவங்க? They used to search for gold. Here gold means not the real actual gold. Gold means here a coin or something useful to them. Like he was wearing the thrown shoes, no? தூக்கி போட்ட shoes வந்து Saheb he started using. So those kind of things. Alright, so that is referred as gold here. So Saheb, he had many friends like him who roamed in the streets barefoot. Alright, because it was not because they couldn't buy, it was because it was not in their tradition to wear shoes, okay, or chappals, right? And he never went to school because the family couldn't afford the schooling for him, and he did not have a pair of slippers, and he wished to play tennis in the lawn, and he found a job in a tea stall and earned 800 rupees along with meals. And according to Anis Jung, Saheb was not quite happy there, because he was no longer his own master. He was a slave, he was a worker in the tea stall. Okay, so yes children, so this was the lesson.